Former President Thabo Mbeki will campaign for the ANC in Jabavu in Soweto today. This is the first such outing for the former president in a long time. Previously, he'd said that he couldn't campaign for a party that he can't trust to deliver on its promises. Now, our reporter Juniour Khumalo is on the ground at Jabulani Mall now. He joins us live. Junior, the significance of Mbeki coming out and campaigning for the ANC.
Indeed, Michelle, we have moved from the Jabulani Mall. We were at Jabulani Mall a few minutes ago, but now we've moved to the Ipileheng Community Center, where the former president is expected to arrive here first and get a briefing from the ANC officials before he heads out to the Jabulani Mall. When we were there at the Jabulani Mall, actually, people were just going about their business. It did not seem like a former president was going to descend in that area. But when we got to this Ipileheng Community Hall here in Jabavu, Soweto, there was quite a number of ANC cars that just drove behind us a few minutes ago, heading actually to that mall where the former president is going to be. But the significance of his basically coming out and campaigning for the ANC is that he had actually been in the political wilderness since 2008, between 2008 and 2018. When you remember, in 2008, he was basically sent to the political wilderness by the ANC when they asked him to step aside when he had those problems with his former deputy, Jacob Zuma. So since then, he had not campaigned for the ANC, but he came out in 2019, campaigned for the ANC. It still did not perform well. They lost a lot of electoral support. They got just over 50% of the support then. But now the ANC has been trying to negotiate with the former president to have him campaign for the ANC. One of the former president, Jacob Zuma, has actually launched a party, Umkhonto weSizwe, and is campaigning against the ANC in what is expected to be a tough elections on the 29th of May. So having one of the former presidents at least campaign for the ANC is a boost for the party. But we also haven't seen some of the older guard, the former deputy presidents, when it comes to David Mabuza, when it comes to Baleka Mbete as well, Mlambo Ngcuka. They have not come out campaigning for the ANC. We're still yet to see them on the ground, but the ANC has promised that these individuals are going to come out on the ground and campaign for the ANC as we get closer to those elections that are going to start on the 29th of May, Michelle.
It's an important thing to just mention, Junior. You know, during election time, we do rely in many respects, or we look to surveys and polling and the like, you know, to try and gauge the reaction in the country, to try and gauge the mood of a country. Surveys themselves, they have their own flaws, but they are sort of a temperature gauge, right? And according to one such survey, this is by a political think tank, Social Research Foundation. It's a voter survey that was conducted. The former president, Thabo Mbeki, is the most liked political figure in the country now, in fact, scoring 57.5%, compared to Cyril Ramaphosa scoring much, much lower, almost 44.5%.
Indeed, you are accurate, Michelle. That poll actually came out last year, and it did indicate that the former president, Thabo Mbeki, is actually more popular than the current sitting president, Cyril Ramaphosa. You know, part of the reasons around that has been Thabo Mbeki, as we have mentioned, came out in support of the ANC leading up to the 2019 elections and into the 2021 local government elections. And he was very vocal. He was very vocal about some of the mistakes that have been done by the ANC. He also indicated that he was not so sure about the renewal project that the ANC was basically undertaking, saying that it did not seem like the ANC was serious about really renewing itself. So he criticized his current successor, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and I think that also contributed to the lack of popularity when it comes to the current President Ramaphosa. But also the current president has had a few of his own issues that he had to deal with. When you speak about the Phala incident that happened also, it took a dent on his image and his public image as well. So that also contributes to that lack of popularity, with Mbeki seeming to be more popular than him, according to that research that came out last year, Michelle.
One political analyst also weighing in and trying to explain this seeming popularity among the voter population in the country. And one of the things that he mentions, this is Dirk Kotzer, is that when Thabo Mbeki was president, the economy was doing better than it is currently, and perhaps a key issue, we didn't have in our lexicon the issue of state capture.
Indeed. Thabo Mbeki was president from 1999 to 2008. And during that time, there was an economic boom in South Africa. It was the first time since the 1970s that we saw the unemployment decreasing in South Africa. And since then, we haven't seen that in the South African economy. We do know that Mbeki is accredited for that, for basically reviving the South African economy. But since he came out of power, that has seemed to go down. But even during his presidency in 1999, there was an increase in terms of electoral support of the ANC. In 1994, when Nelson Mandela was leader, the ANC got about 62% support. But when Mbeki came in 1999, in those elections, South Africa, the ANC, the governing party, actually got 66% of the electoral support. And in 2004, the ANC got its largest electoral support ever under Mbeki, which was about 69.7% of that electoral support. Since then, it's been declining. We saw in 2019, actually, the ANC getting just over 50%. So that is always accredited to Mbeki. The electoral support, the economy that has been doing well has been accredited to that former president. And him coming out and supporting the ANC will basically boost the ANC because he is associated with that. But besides that, Mbeki is also known for being an HIV/AIDS denialist. So some of the opposition parties, as much as he's coming out in support of the ANC, might point to that and say that a lot of people died needlessly under his presidency when he did not want the ARVs to be used in the public sector. So that's also another incident that other opposition parties might point out to and say that despite him coming out in support of the ANC, there were a lot of South Africans who died needlessly under his presidency, Michelle.
Certainly. Juniour Khumalo, let me thank you for your time. Thanks for giving us a preview of what's to come. And as we said, that walkabout in Soweto is set to begin by the former president around 2 o'clock.